Hello and welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing well. Recently, I've been exploring many easy and healthy cooking methods. I tried stack cooking technique using idli maker. Then I experimented some pot and pot options with pressure cooker. Then I tried some time saving recipes using soup maker, ranging from soup, pod rich noodles, pastas to smoothies and jams. Then I've also baked some Indian delicacies in my oven. But lately, I've been on a constant search of a healthier alternative for deep frying. For some recipes, I have tried shallow frying in paniyaram pan using very less oil. Then I have tried baking in the oven to reduce the amount of oil absorbed by the food. But still, certain deep fried recipes couldn't be perfectly replicated by these methods. Hence, after weighing all the possibilities, I decided to give air fryer a try. Few weeks ago, I received this 4.5 liter Agaro Digital Galaxy air fryer. This compact air fryer pan comes with an inner tray and it has 7 preset cooking functions, and the temperature control ranges from 80 degrees Celsius to 200 degrees Celsius and timer up to 120 minutes. It also comes with a recipe book. This air fryer is not only ideal for frying but also we can use it for roasting, grilling and baking. And in today's video, I'll be sharing 4 easy starter recipes and 3 quick weekend dinner options. But before that, let me bust some common myths and misconceptions about the air fryer. Air fryer cooks food by circulating hot air around food and produce a crispy exterior and soft interior. Also by using 80 to 90% less oil compared to the traditional frying method. But there were many fearmongers kept connecting the air fryer and cancer. Influenced by those baseless claims, I was quite skeptical about this first. So I did a deep dive to understand their points and to cross-check whether it is true or false, and this is what I understood. When certain foods like potatoes, breads are deep fried, grilled or roasted at high temperature for a long period of time, a chemical compound called acrylamide is produced. And this acrylamide is likely to be carcinogenic, and that is potential to cause cancer, and still there is no definite evidence. So irrespective of the air fryer, if the food is deep fried in oil or grilled until it becomes dark brown in color, they can become carcinogenic. Whereas air fryer helps to reduce the formation of acrylamide due to the usage of small amount of oil. So to avoid the acrylamide formation, we have to cook the food at correct temperature by avoiding overcooking and finally reducing the intake of fried food. Hence, moderation is the key. 2024 is almost over and my pantry is crying for a reset. The key to an organized pantry lies with the periodical resetting. This buffet table next to our dining table is where I store all of our monthly grocery items. Usually I'll categorize and arrange them separately into baskets or storage container. First I started by taking everything out. Yes, this is going to be quite a long process. Almost all the boxes are empty since it is year end, and I'm going to finish all the leftover items first before restocking. So I made a list of all the half opened packets first. Then I stored all the open packets in 3 airtight 10-liter storage containers based on their categories. And I labeled all the boxes for easy identification. I just wrote down all the items stored in the box on a masking tape. And I stored all the unopened packets in these baskets. And in these glass bottles I have stored the leftover millets from the health mix preparation. Next, moving on to my spice cabinet. In the top shelf I have stored all the everyday essentials that I use for the cooking, like rice, pulses, flowers, extra spice powders. And in the bottom shelf I have arranged all of my spice mixes and the whole spices. As usual, I took everything out and wiped the shelf clean using my all-purpose cleaner. I got these 2 wooden step shelves from Flipkart and they fit perfectly inside this cabinet. I thoroughly inspected all the bottles for any kind of bug infestation. I have exactly 1 bottle of sambar powder, chili powder and dhania powder left. Once this gets over, I'll ask my mom to prepare a new batch for the next year. Siraga Samba rice and the green gram that I have is fully infested with bugs, and I'll share an easy technique to remove them. During summer season, we can easily keep it under the sun, and then using winnowing technique with the help of a muram, we can separate the bugs from the rice. But in darker months and for Bangalore climate, sieving is a great way to separate the bugs. First, using a colander with a bigger sieve, I am removing all the bigger size bugs. Then using a colander with a small sieve, I am sifting the rice again to remove those smaller size bugs. It's always best to do a timely inspection of the produce that we have in our pantry to avoid spending time like this later. Then I roasted green grams slightly before sifting them. Then as a precaution, I roasted chana dal, poha, pepper and nuts to avoid infestation in the future. And these 4 have the high potential for the insect damage. And before storing them in the container, I let them cool under the fan. Add this pantry reset task to your cleaning routine at least thrice a year. It helps us to keep track of the things that we already have and prevent us from buying them again. And we can also keep up with the expiration date of these products. In case if I have more products closer to its expiration date, then I'll plan the meals for the forthcoming weeks incorporating those ingredients first. I hope this will be your cue to go check your pantry before 2025 starts. Now coming back to the air fryer. I have tried 4 starter recipes which will be a great party or weekend snacks. For peeling a potato skin, use a serrated knife instead of peeler for less wastage. First, I am starting with a very basic recipe, potato wedges. To make this, I have taken mini potatoes and cut them into 4 pieces lengthwise. To this, I am adding the above ingredients and mixing it well. Then I am spraying very little oil. Now before keeping it inside, I am going to preheat the air fryer for 3 to 5 minutes at 200 degrees Celsius. Then I got this silicone basket for easy cleaning. Then I am spreading the potato slices without overlapping and placing the basket in the fryer pan and closing it. Then using the mode option, I am choosing the French fry function, setting the temperature to 180 degrees Celsius and keeping the time for 14 minutes. And after 7 minutes, I am tossing all the potatoes upside down and spraying some oil if it's too dry and continuing it to cook. Finally, potato wedges are ready with very less oil. In the same way, you can also prepare French fries. Next, I am going to try the viral lady's finger kurkure. To make the batter for the kurkure, I am adding the above ingredients in a bowl. Then I am adding a very little water. The consistency of the batter shouldn't be too thick nor too runny. Then I am cutting the clean and dry lady's fingers into half first and then into thin pieces lengthwise. I am adding this to the batter and mixing them well with a teaspoon of rice flour. Then I am arranging them in this silicone basket without overcrowding. Adding this to the preheated air fryer and spraying very little oil on top. Then cooking it for 13 minutes at 170 degrees Celsius, and halfway through I tossed them once. And sorry, somehow the end clip was deleted, but it was too good. I sprinkled some chaat masala for some extra flavor. Then for the next recipe, I'm going to make mini chicken skewers. For the chicken marination, I've taken the above ingredients in a bowl. Before adding the chicken, I'm tapping it dry with the tissue. I'm just going to use the cube cut pieces for the skewers and reserve the wings for another recipe. For the skewers, I have already cut the onions, capsicum, red bell peppers and kept it ready. Then I started by threading a piece of onion followed by the chicken, then red bell pepper, and then chicken, then capsicum and again chicken and finally onion. Then I decided the temperature and timings for the chicken skewers by verifying a similar recipe. First, I'm preheating it. Next, I'm lining the inner tray with a butter sheet and then arranging all the skewers. Then cooking it for 6 minutes at 200 degrees Celsius. After that, I'm flipping all the skewers, then spraying a very little oil if needed, and then continuing it to cook for 8 minutes. Chicken skewers are ready. Usually my son doesn't like to eat onions, but he loved this one so much. This recipe is a must try. Kids will definitely love this. Next, I'm going to make mini samosas, but with unusual stuffing. I started by rolling the dough for the samosa first. I made small circles and then cut them into 2 halves. For the stuffing, I boiled some mini soya chunks until they are nice and soft. Then I drained the water from the chunk using a colander and then kept it aside. Then to a pan I added 2 teaspoons of oil, 1 teaspoon of cumin and fennel seeds, and then added some onion, garlic and ginger. Sauteed well, then I added the boiled chunks. Squeeze the water out of the chunk before adding it. Then I added the above ingredients. Then sauteed for a minute and then I added the boiled sweet potato, switched off the flame and mashed it well. Finally added some chopped coriander and mixed it well. The stuffing for the samosa is ready. Now let's shape the samosa's outer cover. First I'm making small cone with a semicircle sheet. Then I'm adding a spoonful of prepared stuffing. For sealing, if needed, use a small drop of water. Then I'm arranging all the prepared samosa in the silicone tray and keeping it in the preheated air fryer pan and cooking them for 7 minutes at 185 degrees Celsius and tossing them upside down after 7 minutes, spraying some oil and continuing it to cook for another 7 minutes. Crispy mini samosas are ready. Next, I'm going to share 3 dinner ideas for weekends. During weekends, I always crave for something fancy and extra. And the first recipe is going to be Gobi Manchurian. It is a very basic recipe for some, but to me it will always be a fancy dish. During my school days, my mom used to prepare this for me and her style is a bit different. First, I started by preparing the batter by adding the above ingredients in a bowl. I kept the batter a little bit thick. Then to this I added the blanched cauliflower florets and mixed it well until evenly coated. Then I arranged them in the silicone basket without overlapping, and I placed it in the preheated air fryer pan for 12 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius. After 6 minutes, the gobi has to be turned upside down for even browning. In the meanwhile, I'm going to prepare the sauce for the Manchurian. To a spoon of oil, I'm adding finely chopped onion and garlic and sauteing it until golden brown. Then to this, I'm adding 2 pureed tomatoes and adding salt and chili powder to this. And I'm also adding some pepper powder. And I'm letting it to cook in low flame for 2 minutes. Once the gravy starts to thicken, I'm adding a teaspoon of soya sauce and vinegar. Then I'm adding large pieces of capsicum, red bell pepper, onion to it and cooking it well by closing the pan for a minute. After 6 minutes, I'm tossing the cauliflower upside down, spraying little bit of oil. Once the capsicum is slightly softened, I'm switching off the flame. Here in the air fryer, the cauliflower is done. I'm adding this crispy fried cauliflower to the prepared sauce and giving a nice mix. Healthier version of Gobi Manchurian is ready. Here the store-bought tomato ketchup chili sauce is replaced with tomato puree and chili powder, and mainly the oil fried gobi is replaced with air fried gobi. I had this with pulka and this is my favorite go-to food. And for the next dinner recipe, I'm going to prepare a rice bowl. First I'll be preparing a burnt garlic fried rice. This is quite different, tasty and easy compared to the usual fried rice. Once I had this burnt garlic noodles and I replaced the noodles with rice and I came up with this recipe, burnt garlic fried rice. First I cooked 1 cup of basmati rice with 1.5 cup of water for 2 whistles in high flame. Then I let it cool down under fan. Best alternative is to use a day old rice. Next, to a teaspoon of oil, I'm adding thinly chopped 10 garlic pods and fried it well for 30 to 60 seconds. Then I added thinly sliced onion and fried for another 1 minute. Once it's fried well, I'm adding the finely chopped capsicum and bell pepper. To this, I'm adding pepper powder and salt to taste. Then a tablespoon of soya sauce and a teaspoon of vinegar. Mixing and sauteing it well until the capsicum is slightly softened. Then I'm adding the cooled rice and mixing it together gently. Then for some extra flavor, I'm adding some chili flakes and dried herbs. Burnt garlic fried rice is ready. Next, for the rice bowl, I'm going to make teriyaki chicken. I had some leftover croutons. I grind it in the mixie and I used it instead of breadcrumbs. To this, I'm adding a tablespoon of rice flour. And then the reserved chicken wings, I'm going to use it here. First, I'm dipping it in the beaten chicken and then the crumb mix. Then I placed all the crumb coated chicken in the silicone basket tray. Then I'm going to place this basket in the preheated air fryer and I'm going to cook it for 22 minutes at 200 degrees Celsius. Before that, I'm slightly spraying some oil. After 11 minutes, I'm flipping all the pieces upside down and continuing it to cook for another 11 minutes. Finally, crispy air fryer chicken is ready. Now I'm going to prepare the teriyaki sauce. To a saucepan, I'm adding all the above ingredients. Mixing it well and letting it boil in low flame. Once it's done, I'm pouring it over the crispy fried chicken and mixing it well. This teriyaki chicken goes well with the burnt garlic fried rice. As a final touch, I'm garnishing it with some roasted sesame seeds and chopped green onions. Next, I'm going to prepare a falafel platter. First, I'm going to make pita bread. So, I've taken a spoon of yeast. After using it, I'm going to keep it back inside the freezer by clipping it tightly. To this yeast, I'm adding some water and sugar and mixing it well. Then to this mixture, I'm adding 120 grams of wheat flour. Then adding a tablespoon of oil and salt to taste. Then I'm mixing it well with my silicone spatula. Then using my hands, I kneaded it well for 5 minutes. It will become very sticky and it's okay. After kneading, I'm brushing some oil on top of it. Then covering and letting it rest for 45 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to pressure cook the overnight soaked chickpeas along with some salt and hing. After 45 minutes, the dough has raised double the size. Then I'm going to knead for another 5 minutes. I'm dusting the board with some flour and transferring the dough to it. Then I'm going to cut this into 5 equal parts. Again letting it rest for 5 minutes. Then I'm rolling each balls into 2 small pita bread. For the first batch I have made 4 and again I'm going to let this rest. In the meanwhile, I'm going to prepare falafel and hummus. First, I'm going to grind boiled chickpeas along with garlic pods and a teaspoon of cumin and fennel seeds. After grinding, I'm adding chopped coriander and onion to it. Then for the spiciness, I'm adding a teaspoon of chili powder. For binding, I'm adding a tablespoon of chickpea flour. And for mild tanginess, I'm squeezing a lemon and mixing it well. And then making small balls out of it. Next, I'm going to prepare a hummus. To make this, I'm adding the above ingredients in the same mixer grinder. Next, I'm going to fry the falafels. I'm going to shape the balls like patties and placing it in the silicone basket with enough space in between. Brushing it with some oil. Then I'm placing the silicone basket inside the preheated air fryer pan and cooking it for 5 minutes at 200 degrees Celsius. After 5 minutes, I flipped all the falafels and continued to cook for another 4 minutes. Then I'm placing all the rolled dough for 6 minutes at 185 degrees Celsius. Once it's done, I'm keeping all the pita breads inside a folded cloth. Now let's assemble the platter. I'm cutting all the mini pita bread open at top, then stuffing it with falafel and lettuce. I'm going to have these pita bread pockets with some hummus and pickled olives and jalapeno. That's it for today. Hope you all enjoyed watching this video. If yes, give a thumbs up and leave your thoughts in the comment section. See you all again with another interesting video. Until then, bye, take care and have a happy new year.